Okay, how is everyone doing? This was unexpected. I pray that all of you stay safe and healthy, and that you look around to see if there is someone you can be Jesus to. One of the best ways to stay positive is by serving others, so look for opportunities. On our Facebook page, we're going to have opportunities. There's people that have put down needs that they have, and we have the opportunity to serve them. If you've got a need, let us know. Give us a call or an email, and we'll do everything we can to take care of that need. I look forward to seeing what needs are out there so we can help. There's been a story that's been in my head a lot lately. It's recorded in the Bible. There is this guy, and we don't really know his name, and he's only credited with 8 words in the entire Bible. Are you ready for them? Here they are. Oh no, my Lord, what shall we do? Nothing very inspiring. But hey, at least he got in the Bible. All right, let's put some context with those words. These amazing words, oh no, my Lord, what shall we do, were spoken by a guy about 800 years before Jesus came around. Back then, there was a kingdom of Israel ruled by a king named Joram. But it was not Joram who said these words, nor is he very important in this story, actually. There was another kingdom called Aram. And apparently they didn't like Israel, and they were at war with Israel. And by the way, none of the people from Aram said those words. One of the main characters in this story is a guy named Elisha. He was a prophet of God, one of the most famous prophets of God. Now, prophets back then, they were charged basically with 2 things. 1, they were to let the people know what God wanted, and 2, they were supposed to go to God on the people's behalf. We don't really know how Elisha got his messages from God to the people. We don't know if he heard the voice of God, or he just got a sense of what God was saying in his mind, or maybe God sent him a letter. We don't know. All we know was that according to those who wrote the Bible, Elisha seemed to know things that he could not have known unless God revealed it to him. But it wasn't Elisha who uttered these words, "Oh no, my Lord, what shall we do?" So who was it? And more importantly, why did he say it? All right, listen to this story as I read it from the Bible. It's in 2 Kings chapter 6. Now, the king of Aram was at war with Israel. After conferring with his officers, he said, "I will set up my camp in such and such a place." The man of God, Elisha, sent word to the king of Israel, "Beware of passing that place, because the Arameans are going down there." So the king of Israel checked on the place indicated by the man of God, Elisha. Time and again, Elisha warned the king so that he was on his guard in such places. This enraged the king of Aram. He summoned his officers and demanded of them, "Tell me which of us is on the side of the king of Israel." He wanted to know if there were any of them feeding information to Israel. "None of us, my lord the king," said one of his officers. But Elisha, the prophet who is in Israel, tells the king of Israel the very words you speak in your bedroom. "Go, find out where he is," the king ordered, "so I can send men and capture him." The report came back. He is in Dothan. This is a small city in Israel. Then he sent horses and chariots and a strong force there. They went by night and surrounded the city. When the servant of the man of God got up and went out early the next morning, an army with horses and chariots had surrounded the city. "Oh no, my lord, what shall we do?" the servant asked Elisha. "Oh no, what shall we do?" Can you imagine what happened that morning? The servant of Elisha gets up. Seems like it's going to be like any other day. He's probably thinking about having to get breakfast ready or prepare some prophet school lesson or get the chickens fed. And then he goes up on the top floor of the house and he looks out and he sees a massive force of the enemy. There is no way to muster the Israelite army. There is not enough time. They are completely surrounded. There's no way to send a messenger out for help. I don't know what kind of strategies ran through this man's mind. Maybe all of them. Maybe he thought of everything he could possibly do to escape this army. Truth be told, he may not have known that they were after his master Elisha. All he knew was that there was a big, bad army out there surrounding the city, and he was pretty darn sure they were not there to celebrate his birthday. And so he said what anybody else would have said in his situation: "Oh no, what shall we do?" You know, we were walking around about a month ago, and we thought it was going to be like any other month. We thought that we were going to wake up, go to work, go to school, fix breakfast, feed the dog, feed the husband, and everything was going to be exactly like it was the day before. And then at some point we noticed that something seemed to be surrounding us. An enemy, a powerful enemy that just kind of showed up out of nowhere. For different people, it was different things. For some, it was the thought of sickness and death. We looked at the news and saw it surrounding us. Everywhere we looked, everything we listened to, we heard sickness and death. And some of us may be particularly susceptible to this particular virus. And our minds turned to various solutions, and the only one we could think of was to hunker down and stop all contact with others. But what if that doesn't work? Oh no. What shall we do? Some of us were told not to come into work. We thought it was going to be another day of making money, that all we needed we would be able to afford. We thought that we'd be able to continue to work. The job was good. It would always be there. Then suddenly, this enemy of financial hardship began to surround us. What we thought was going to be a normal month turned into a month full of uncertainty. Stocks went down. Retirement savings began to disappear at thousands of dollars a day. The mortgage, the bills, the schooling, groceries, toilet paper. There were things we thought we had control over. But suddenly the enemy surrounds us, and all we can think to say is, "Oh no, what shall we do?" Then there is that enemy of uncertainty that surrounds us. What if I get it? What if I get sick? What if I can never catch up financially? What if I die? These were questions that really were probably not on our mind a month ago, and suddenly that's all we can think about now. We thought we would just wake up, use our own strength, use our own resources, our own health to live well, take care of ourselves and our loved ones, to have everything we need. Now, what if? And that thought surrounds us like an enemy. And really, when we boil it all down, the name of this enemy is fear. Fear of pain, suffering, and death. And those are pretty real fears. The truth is that we are wired that way. Biologically, we are wired to be afraid of pain and death. So when the thought of it rears its head, we respond by a programmed biological response called fight or flight. We want to fight or we want to run. But what if we can't do either? It is then that we tend to say, "Oh no, what shall we do?" This question was posed to Elisha, the man of God, about 3,000 years ago. "Elisha, oh no, what should we do?" And his answer seemed rather odd. So the servant, we're back to our story here, the servant just asked Elisha what they should do. "Oh no, what should we do?" And here was Elisha's response. "Don't be afraid." That's easy to say. Elisha, okay, why? Why should I not be afraid? There is definitely something to fear. And we hear that a lot, don't we, these days? We hear that all over. Don't be afraid. Don't panic. Don't freak out. Don't stockpile toilet paper. Don't worry. We are working tirelessly to help you. Don't worry. If you're Jamaican, you say, "Don't worry about a thing, because everything will be all right." Sorry, people from Jamaica, I apologize. But the truth is that there is something to be afraid of. There is something that can cause pain, suffering, and death. We are wired to be afraid of it. There is something to be afraid of. So why, Elisha, should we not be afraid? He goes on to tell us. "Don't be afraid," Elisha answered. those who are with us are more than those who are with them. Now picture how that servant must have responded to that. He probably thought, what the heck does he mean by that? The enemy clearly outnumbers the people in this city. There are not enough people, let alone soldiers, to get us out of this. Are you talking about God? Well, yeah, he's on our side. But I have seen what armies have done to towns before. I have seen what armies have done to Israel and towns in Israel. God doesn't always do what I want him to do. So if all the same to you, Elisha, I'm still going to be afraid, use my own strength and my own power to figure out something just in case God doesn't come through. You know, what you're saying sounds good, Elisha, but it doesn't always work. Does it? And we think that sort of thing too. We say things like, God will work it out. God is stronger. All things work for the good of those who love him. God is in control. But for some reason, the fear still lingers. We sometimes remember how God did not work it out the way we wanted him to. We still wonder about our lives, our health, our finances. We believe God. We believe he loves us. We believe he is in control. And yet, for example, we dwell on what might happen to us so much. We look at the news. We look at all these stories, everything that we can find. We download all sorts of stuff. What's happening here? What's happening there? What's happening there? And we forget that there are some who are suffering a lot more, and we neglect to find ways to help other people. We believe God can free us from an addiction, but we let our fear of what others might think stop us from doing what we know he wants us to do to end the addiction, i.e. keep coming back, open share groups, sponsors, etc. One more example. We believe that God works for the good of those who love him, right? But our fear that he won't leads us to hoard our money, hoard our resources, rather than offer it to God. Why? Just in case he doesn't come through. We behave and we put so much effort into a backup plan because we're wondering, is he going to come through? That is probably what was going on with Elisha, his servant. He knew God could do something powerful, but didn't know if God would do it as he wanted him to. But then comes something, man, I wish I could have seen. Listen to this. It's in the Bible. It's amazing. And Elisha prayed, open his eyes, Lord, so that he may see. Then the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he looked and saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. Nice. I wish I could have seen that. There was nothing recorded after that the servant says. We don't know what he thought or felt. We don't know if the fear left him. But if I saw that, if I saw the power of heaven, the might of God, the armies of the Creator, I kind of think I would lose my fear. Now, I don't want to leave you hanging. The rest of the story is that the enemy charged. Elisha prayed that they would be blinded. They became blind. Israel captured them, fed them, and sent them home. And they stopped raiding Israel for a time. But I want to focus on something. God showed his power to this servant of Elisha. But Elisha already knew it was there. The servant had to be shown it, but Elisha was absolutely sure it existed. Which one are you? The truth is that most of us are like the servant. We need to see it. It's all well and good to hear God will deliver you, but most of us need to see it to believe it. And the amazing thing here is that God did show the servant his power. And let me let you in on a little secret. The truth is that God shows each of us his power too. I remember going to my first meetings and hearing about all of these people with sobriety, some with decades of sobriety. I went for a while to these meetings, but I didn't get sober for too long, so I stopped going. A year or so later, I knew I had to do something different because my addiction was getting still stronger. The only thing I knew to do, the only option I had left was to go back to that group. Why? Because I had seen the power of God in that group. I had seen people get free of their addictions. I had seen people get free of fear, of worry, of doubt, of bitterness, of anger. I had seen it happen. God had opened my eyes and I saw His power, His might, His armies. There was something there in that group. There was something that overcame all of my fear. And it was the reality of those sober people in that program. God showed me His power. He opened my eyes and I believed. There are some of us here that I talk to, and you look at these troubled times that we're in right now, and you say things like, I'm excited to see how God is going to use this time for His glory. And my first thought is, what are you seeing that I'm not seeing? And the truth is, there are some people here at Celebrate Recovery, when they look at a situation like the one that we're in, they are excited, ready to help. They choose to be ready to serve. And sure, they're cautious and limit their exposure to others, but they are not afraid. It's as if they see something, as if they know something is there. The might of heaven, the armies of God, the power of the Creator, the chariots of fire, they seem to see that. Maybe it's they choose to see that. And when they tell me things like, Cameron, how can I help others during this time? Our God is going to use this time for His glory. Sometimes I see the power of God when they say stuff like that. When they say stuff like that, I see the armies of heaven. I see that His might is at work and cannot be stopped. They show me, other people show me, just like Elisha showed his servant. So what can we take from this? 1, God allows scary things to take place, but there is grace in that. The truth is, our time on this world will come to an end. It is good to be reminded of that sometimes, so that we live on this earth for what is important, for what is eternal. We get one shot at this life. We get one chance to trust it to God. It is the only opportunity we will ever have to give God something so valuable as our mortal lives. If we were never reminded of the fact that this is a temporary place, we may live as if this world is our home. We might live our whole lives without asking for or experiencing God's power in our lives. We might miss out on eternity, life and life to the full that Jesus came to offer. So we can thank God in this situation for reminding us how temporary everything is on this earth. So many things that we thought were important, that God's saying there's something far more valuable, and it is our eternal souls. So let's take this time to work on our souls. Number 2, God is willing to show us His power, but it usually takes someone else showing it to us, someone who knows that it's there. So you who have your lives changed, you who have seen God free you from an addiction, you who have been healed of an injury or disease, you who have seen miracles in your life, can you share those stories with others? With me? Can you take this time, maybe while you're sitting at home, and write an email and tell me of a time when God did a miracle in your life? Tell me of a time you called out to God and He came through in a big way, where you saw the might of God, the armies of heaven, the power of the Creator in your life. When you were at first saying, oh no, what are we going to do? Then God came through and you saw Him working. We all need to see that. We all need to see the might of heaven. We need someone to open our eyes. We're all scared and asking, just like that servant, oh no, what shall we do? But we need people like you to show us His armies are and have been surrounding all of us, and that there is nothing to fear, because there is more on our side that is on their side. Don't hold on to His stories. Don't hold on to His miracles. Share them so we can see His armies. In the next few weeks, I want to hear your stories, and we want to share them. Maybe you could put them on the Facebook page. Maybe you can post them. Maybe you could tell others. God wants others to know His power and His might, so that everyone who is asking, oh no, what shall we do, can look and see that there is an army out there surrounding the people of God, and that God is in control and there's really nothing to be afraid of.